good afternoon. My name is Xolile Antoni. I'm here at Rhodes currently. I was at NMMU, and these are my students that we did the study with. So the title is, Does Gender Difference Matter for Financial Literacy and Financial Socialization? This is the table of contents or areas that I will go through as I briefly talk about the study. So the background generally and what we do know about financial literacy is that there tends to be gender differences when one looks at financial literacy, and females tend to have lower levels when you measure financial literacy levels compared to males. So this difference in financial literacy scores or financial literacy levels between the genders is known as the gender gap in financial literacy. Financial socialization, which is now understood to be the source of financial literacy, or theory, that what theory tells us. So that the thinking is that if there's a gender gap in financial literacy, could this gender gap be coming from financial socialization? So is there a gender gap that is presented as well in financial literacy and financial socialization process? So what we do know about financial socialization is that males and females are not socialized the same, meaning that they are not taught or have access to financial information from their parents the same way. So males and females, we think there will be differences. And there are some studies that tells us that males, as they're growing up, parents tend to expect more responsibility from them, and as well. So we do understand that there might be differences in these socialization. So the question still stands that if males and females are socialized differently, and financial socialization is the source of financial literacy, is there a gender gap in financial socialization? Some studies say we might expect that, but we are not sure. So the objectives then of the study is then to determine whether there is a gender difference among individuals in terms of financial literacy levels. That we do know and that we do expect. But what we're actually looking for is whether this gender gap can also be seen in financial socialization. And here talking about financial socialization techniques, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and then to provide some recommendations for financial education. Now, this is the theoretical framework for family financial socialization or financial socialization framework. And this theory actually says the source of financial outcomes. I just want to see properly here, and financial outcomes being financial behavior, financial well-being, financial attitudes, knowledge, and capabilities. So those are known as financial outcomes. And then the financial socialization techniques being in the family interactions or relationship or purposive financial socialization. And then all of this is influenced by personal family characteristics. So the theory says financial outcomes comes from a process of financial socialization. And this is influenced by personal and family characteristics. For instance, they've found that children that come from households with different income levels influence how they socialize, because those children from a higher level of income have more access. So they're exposed to financial products earlier and other financial instruments, and they turn, because of that, to have high levels of knowledge, better behavior, and hopefully financial well-being. However, the theory then goes on to say, in terms of family interactions, so it's important as well, the relationship between the parents and the children, that influence how they get socialized. But also there's an indirect technique of being socialized, such as where children observe what parents do and they learn that as modeling. And then purposive financial socialization is when this is a direct techniques where parents intentionally teaches their children on financial concepts, and these lead to financial outcomes. So this is a theory then that is popular in personal finance and financial socialization studies. So financial socialization techniques, then you have a parental financial behavior. So this would be the socializing technique that is indirect, the ones which usually is around interactional and relationship. So sorry about that. That would be parental financial behavior. This is where the parent actually just behaves in a certain way, so models a certain behavior, and the child observes this behavior and then learns it. And then you have financial communication, which is more direct financial socialization technique, where children actually learn and the parent takes intentional effort in teaching their children about personal finance concepts. So the outcomes that we've talked about in terms of the theory, one of them is financial literacy. It's one of the outcomes, or financial socialization is a source of financial literacy. There's no standard definition of financial literacy, but usually financial literacy is measured. The most common component of financial literacy is knowledge. In another way, financial literacy always includes a component of knowledge. It doesn't matter what the other components are, but one of the most 100% of the time, financial knowledge is one of the components. And therefore, the study then measures financial literacy using the most common component, financial knowledge. There are two different types of financial knowledge: objective and subjective financial knowledge. Objective financial knowledge, it is different from subjective financial knowledge. Subjective is where the person rates themselves. So it's the confidence in the knowledge. It's just asking a person, do you think you're knowledgeable? And the person says yes, or agree, or disagree. So that is subjective. Objective is where you're given multiple choice. It's an actual test, and then to see how much you score. And that is objective financial knowledge. What they've found is that subjective financial knowledge is actually stronger than objective financial knowledge when it comes to influencing behavior and financial well-being, and therefore the study will use subjective financial knowledge. Previous studies have shown that females have lower levels, as we did say. Parents have different expectations of females and males as they're raising them up. So we expect that those outcomes are those expectations, and the way that parents socialize their children when they grow, giving them a certain role, that this is a male, and because if it's a male, they will be responsible for this type of financial duties, and this is a female, and because it's a female, they'll be responsible for these type of duties. And because of those gender differences and roles, we expect, in terms of socialization, we expect that as well to come through financial literacy. So therefore, the hypothesis that there's no significant gender difference, and our hypothesis and alternative, there is a significant gender difference between financial literacy and financial socialization techniques. So it's a quantitative study, as you can see. Sample age 18-25. It's usually students. they are usually still under the control of their parents, and as well they are still financially supported by the parents. So usually at this stage, parents still exert a lot of influence on students between those ages. Convenience and snowball sample. Try to separate the sample so that we figured 50% males and 50 females. Close-ended questionnaire was used, and as well we looked at validity in terms of exploratory effect analysis and reliability, Cronbach alpha, to measure the instruments that were used in the study. An independent t-test was used to see whether there is a significant difference between males and females pertaining to financial literacy and financial socialization techniques, being parental financial behavior and also financial communication. As you can see, distributed there to 230 individuals or students, 203 questionnaires were used, and there's the response rate. In terms of exploratory effect analysis, there were 3 statements or items that loaded onto financial knowledge. And remember, financial knowledge was used as a component to measure financial literacy, and the alpha was 0.88. And usually alpha above 0.7 is accepted for internal reliability. Financial communication, this was one of the financial socialization techniques, 4 statements loaded on that. And we had an alpha of 0.83. And that is a direct financial socialization technique. And then you have parents, parental financial behavior, which is an indirect financial socialization technique, 3 statements, and you can see there the alpha is 0.71, meaning that it was reliable. And then these were the results here. I actually had it in red before. As you can see, there's a difference in terms of financial knowledge, in terms of genders, but we don't find any difference in terms of parental financial communication and parental financial behavior. Yeah, so that's what we found in this study. So we didn't find those gender differences. We did see that in terms of parental financial communication, you see that the means are quite low. So in terms of direct financial socialization, that doesn't happen mostly. Parents are not usually involved in teaching taking intentional effort in teaching their children about personal finances. Indirectly, parental financial behavior a little bit better there, but you can see there's no much difference between the two in terms of what the children observed from the two. So as I say, it's nothing new. We did find a significant difference between males and female in terms of their knowledge. As you can see, as we did say, males tend to have a higher level of financial knowledge than females, and this is the usual type of information that you get when you look at financial literacy or in financial socialization studies. Yes, not sure how much time I have. I think maybe I might have moved too quickly there.
You've got 2 minutes left.
Oh, okay, all right, so that's good. So we did find a significant difference between males and females, as I've said, however, not for financial socialization techniques. What it does tell us, and implications for personal financial education programs, that the content that is provided to males and females are they can't be the same. They need to be a little bit tailored in terms of different genders. This is a finding that other previous studies have found as well between, as I said there. We also found, as I said, scored low for parental financial communication. It is a problem, and parental financial behavior, they could have been a little bit higher, but parental financial communication was much lower in terms of what we found there. So that's the problem, because it means parents are not intentionally getting involved there. So that is something that needs to be improved, because strongest influence on financial knowledge. Did not examine other demographic factors. That's a limitation. Could have looked at ethnicity. I think that's one worth looking at. Family structure, that's one as well. That seems to be important in terms of influencing the financial socialization techniques that are used by parents. Other limitations, a sample, is convenient and it's small. Target a different sample. Young professionals, draw a larger sample. That as well would assist the study. So the study does definitely make a contribution in the field to see that gender doesn't seem to be a strong influencer on financial socialization technique, at least for the sample of the study that we would have expected. Still not sure where the gender difference is coming from. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Quite interesting.